Okay, so we'd like to welcome everybody to the August meeting of the Village of Southampton Planning Commission. So we have here a little agenda that we're going to propose the agenda, but we would like to open the discussion afterward to other items. I'll start with a roll call. So Pamela?
Here.
Yeah. Laura? She's not here. Eduardo?
I think I'm here.
Okay. Michelangelo? He was out sick. He's out sick today. He was on antibiotics, so it was best not to come. And Bob?
Here.
Yeah. Mark? Yeah. And Michael?
Present.
Okay, very good. So one item that we actually forgot to do in the last few meetings was the adoption of the minutes of meetings, so they can be published on the website. And I believe that somehow we did not adopt the minutes from March, April, May, June, and July. So that's why they were not posted on the website. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the meeting that Jolie had composed for March, April, May, June, July.
A second.
Your second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Nobody against. Okay, fantastic. So we'll be able to post it. So we've received a few days ago, and I don't think I forwarded to all of the members some proposal from BFJ for the public outreach program. They also sent us a list of questions that they would like to suggest that we ask the public for the master plan. So we're gonna distribute this to all the members so you can review it and maybe make suggestions as to which questions and the way we should reach out to the public. I think it's also very important that this update of the master plan be part of the village website, the public outreach program be part of the village website. And we had received a couple of proposals at that effect. I think we still I have not heard whether a decision had been made. So I'll reach out to Charlene about it. So we had that work session meeting where we discussed a few of the items that we thought should be incorporated into the master plan, or that should be reviewed as part of the master plan efforts. I don't know if anybody wants to comment on them and mention them again. Anybody feels that there are some points that are more important than others that we should review? I think that we had gone. I think we should expect BFJ to come up with maybe do a proposal. They could not attend the meeting tonight, but I think hopefully in September, at the September meeting, they will. We have scheduled an informal meeting, I think, for August 18th with BFJ to review their proposed next steps.
Is that here or at your office?
No, it's here. It's going to be here, and there's a few stakeholders that are going to be invited also, so to be able to review this.
Same time, 5 o'clock?
Yes, 5 o'clock on August 18th.
You said it was going to be 4 o'clock.
Well, actually, you're right. There was a discussion whether it was going to be 4 or 5. Is there any preference?
Let's see what I put.
I don't care. I guess it's a matter when
We set it up for
BFJ
4.
can come.
We set it up for 4.
Yeah.
I'm
Set it
sorry.
up for 4,
Let me say, well, it's set up for August 18th on the 4th at 4 p.m. At 4 p.m. because we thought so if it runs a little bit late, so we're not coming out too late. Right. So I think that's a critical. I think we should maybe possibly advertise that meeting in the papers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we should suggest to advertise it in the papers. Now,
On
as
the
part of the,
website.
yes, as part of the master plan, we would like, one of the items that we would like to do is to incorporate something similar to what New York City has recently adopted, their local law 97, which concerns they call it the Climate Mobilization Act, where the village can also make a difference in terms of what's happening with the climate, and that we have the proper regulations. New York City is taking a leading role in the nation at that level, and I think that we should follow. And I know that Michelangelo is very involved in this. So I have here actually a copy of the regulation that New York City has adopted, if anybody wants to see it. And we should definitely review it on August 18th. Another point that I'd like to review on August 18th is the GFA, whether that was reduced from 12% to 10%, and maybe under which circumstances should it be revised and brought back to 12%, since we not only have reduced it, but also incorporated the pool houses into the GFA. And there's been a lot of backlash about it. And maybe also another point that I have heard many people complaining about are the possible exceptions to the pyramid law that maybe could be done in certain circumstances. That to maybe clarify when can we pierce the pyramid law, so we have items that make a little bit more sense. For example, stair bulkheads. If you have a flat roof and you want to go to the flat roof, right now you have to have a roof hatch instead of a little stair bulkhead. And so items like this that really should be clarified, so we don't create designs that are not appropriate. Okay, so this is that's it for the update on the master plan. I'll circulate the proposed questionnaire from BFJ. Any other comments?
After our work session last week or 2 weeks ago, the proposals that we suggested, have we given them to BFA?
No, but we will.
We will at the next meeting?
No, I will do this before our August 18th meeting. Before our August 18th meeting. Yes, we'll do the list of suggestions, and we'd like to invite the public to also, if you have any suggestions, to please reach out to us and send us any suggestions of any points that you feel should be addressed in the master plan. I think that it's a special opportunity to be able to improve our village, and as the way you were saying, even in traffic analysis.
There's another thing I'd like to mention, is sidewalks.
Yes.
Hill Street. I brought this up quite a few years ago about extending the sidewalks up Hill Street, because there seems to be an awful lot of people riding bikes and also walking up Hill Street. And especially, I seen the other day a woman with a baby carriage in a bike lane. And that gets, dangerous.
Yes. Yeah, I think that as part of the master plan, we should definitely look
I
at.
think we mentioned that a couple of weeks ago in our meeting.
Yes.
Sidewalks.
Yeah, I think that as part of the master plan, traffic and transportation should definitely be looked at, not just zoning, but also traffic. As you said before, the left turn arrows.
It's just to have every light in the village with left-hand turning arrows in all directions, because trying to make a left-hand turn now, it's like suicide.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, especially if you go on County Road 39, that's even worse.
Yeah, and maybe also limit truck traffic on certain roads. I think that the way that the trucks right now are going down, they're going down all the way Meadow Lane, and then up, trying to go back to, it should not be allowed. Should not be allowed. I think that, but the sidewalks, the left turning arrow, Yes, and then maybe more public transport, maybe more transportation between the village business center and the train station.
The other thing too is hedges on these intersections.
Yes,
They should be cut back. I think there's a ruling that they have to be cut back. If you go to that stop sign, you want to make that turn, you don't know if there's a jogger or bicyclist on that, and I've come across that a few times.
yes. Yeah, these are good points. So
On the
also,
left turn, I mean, you
Well,
can,
you
you
just
can see the
go up to
road.
Prospect Street and Halsey Street and see how the hedges are up there. You go up to the stop sign, you cannot see around the corner.
How can you not see? The stop sign is, I mean, the road is right there, you definitely can see.
Yeah, but if they're up against the hedge running and you're gonna make a right-hand turn,
It's, up-
You could run
Yeah,
right
but you're-
into 'em.
But you're on the other side from where they're coming.
it doesn't necessarily be that way.
If they're on the other side, you'll see them. If they're on this side, you're not gonna hit them because you're going around
You
anyway.
still, if they're on that side of the road, you can't see
yeah,
them.
you can't see it. No, no.
You can't see it.
There's a
Yeah,
reg,
but
And as a motor vehicle operator, you are responsible.
maybe I'm not, that doesn't matter.
No, no,
The
it's-
law says you
I-
gotta
I-
give them 3 feet.
yeah, at the intersection, the hedges are supposed to be cut down.
Right, that is a law.
Yeah,
That is
it
the
is.
law.
Yeah, it is.
law,
And
but
if they
they-
aren't, it hasn't been followed. I mean,
No, it's not enforced.
whenever we go down the beach, there's so many of those corners that are just coming right out.
Yes.
I
you
mean,
cannot-
we go straight, so it doesn't affect us, but I noticed that they're not cut, and they used to be. They used to be.
All right,
Law, but it's not enforced.
yeah, exactly. There's definitely an issue of enforcement for this.
Years ago, when we didn't have this heavy traffic, or pedestrians or riding bicycles, nobody really cared. But now.
We just get rid of the people.
I don't see why it really
This whole
matters.
traffic issue has to be
I don't see why it really
Yes,
matters.
yes,
It's awful.
yes.
Some of the-
I think it's
some
got
of
goes
the-
back to-
the
Yes, when we
edges.
remember-
Had to extend Sunrise Highway out down to Hansford, they originally were gonna do many years ago.
Only
You're gonna make a left
money.
turn. If they're
So-
going this way, it doesn't matter, you're coming up this way. If they're going this way, you're gonna see them, no matter what the hedges are.
1970.
So yeah, we'll definitely have a discussion on traffic and transportation with the planners.
Was I dreaming, or did I see they're doing an experiment with the flashing yellow light over at the,
St. Andrews?
well, not at St. Andrews, I think they did on County Road 39, or maybe it was St. Andrews, but I saw a sign of something that they were testing it, they were trying it, which is a suggestion that Michael had given.
Yes, I mean, that light at St. Andrews does not make any
Once,
sense.
yeah, it doesn't,
Doesn't make any sense. The same thing, the light in Watermill, the same thing.
right.
But yes, exactly. The light in Watermill does not make
So
any sense.
was I dreaming, or did I actually see that they actually
I
tested
did
it?
read something about it. I
Yeah.
haven't seen it, but I thought I read something.
The light in Watermill, a few years ago, they were putting on a flashing yellow for certain times of day. In the
Right.
morning and the afternoon,
Right.
then it stopped.
In order to move the traffic.
Yeah.
Yes, there should
They
be,
should still do that.
Because traffic can be backed up from Watermill to Bridgehampton and from Watermill back to Southampton.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I would like to have, maybe if it's possible, to have one person on the planning commission who looks really at the traffic issues. And maybe becomes reports us to understand who makes the decisions on the traffic issues, and when there are lights that are in the town that affect the village, how can we coordinate and get better coordination?
There's also another problem in the village on David Weiss Lane. The stop sign is at Pulaski Street, but the traffic, the heavy traffic is really coming out of Powell Avenue and David Weiss Lane.
Yes,
And the stop sign should be moved there, but when I spoke to the ex-mayor, he said they were concerned about the traffic backing up down David Weiss Lane to the railway crossing. I don't know if that's the case, but it's very difficult to come out of that Powell Avenue, make a turn onto David Weiss Lane.
well, I think that the stop sign is there on David White's Lane for the purpose of slowing down the traffic.
Yes, I understand that.
Maybe we could put a speed bump, or,
No.
or, no?
You
I
can't
don't
put
think
them
they can.
across the
Well,
road.
Yeah.
They're so
oh,
dangerous.
so maybe move that stop sign one street down then,
Village Road.
on Pellet Road.
Oh, true.
Or
bring it to Pelletro. You know, that's definitely something that should be looked at. But I think that if one of the members of the planning commission would like to take upon himself to be do the coordination in connection with traffic, I mean, I think it would be a very, very good thing. And review if there should be roads that are one-way streets, review the signage, review the directional signage, because it's
So something like that be given to some experts, though, people that do traffic and whatnot and stuff. Right?
yes, but I think that, yeah, definitely would be a great idea, but maybe we could, if one person would be to start to put it together, and then, yes, we definitely could get a traffic person to study it and see how we could redirect traffic.
I don't know if you read the Southampton Press today, but people up on Halsey, I don't know the road where everybody's going up Halsey, making a right.
Oh, Almont Street. I've seen it backed up from Halsey Street, Almont, through my development block, across the county road 39.
Whitefield was backed up too, so
And I've been there, I've gone up there, and the traffic is just horrendous. Everybody's trying to cut through every way they can to avoid the traffic on two main highways. The people, I don't blame them for being as upset as they are.
Yeah, I know, people
If I
are
lived
not,
in the neighborhood, I wouldn't be happy.
and the way the people go down First Neck Lane to go to Ox Pasture, to come back out, I mean, they're really on top of it, they don't really gain any time. Because by the time they go all the way around and then they wait to get back onto Hill Street, there's no purpose.
The other thing I want to bring up is that the number of parking spaces in some of these new houses are coming up. There's one house in particular that stands out on the corner of Halsey Street and White Street. I think I counted 8 cars, and 2 of them were parked outside. The thing was full. And I spoke to somebody who lives on that street, and they've complained a couple of times. Because you go down Halsey Street, it's like an obstacle course between the landscaping trailers and construction and the cars. They're just constantly zigzagging.
Absolutely, well, now we're allowing parking on the front yard. Most of the houses are creating their parking area on the front yard.
But parking is allowed on the street. We discussed this already years ago, I remember, went through this whole discussion. And what are you gonna do? Either you're gonna put no parking signs and start giving out tickets, or, and the problem is only in the summertime, a couple of months, it's not year-round issue, so. I mean, I go around traffic.
Mostly it's the contractors.
Mostly it's like contractors and the landscapers, but occasionally you have a car parked on the street.
Right,
Okay, now housing, you got this nice MG now that's parked there all the time. No, not housing, not housing, so when, Breeze Lane, on Breeze Lane. But,
I don't think
no big deal.
it's also these landscaping trailers that park.
Yes.
They take up so much room on it.
Where are they gonna go? I mean,
Well, I think that could be an effort by the contractors that when they do construction work, like for example, when they do major construction work on Meadow Lane, they normally typically park behind the movie theater and then they bus them to the construction site. Very often.
That's very nice.
Right, so you don't have 20 cars parked on.
But you can't park behind the movie
yeah,
theater
you can't do that
anymore.
with landscapers. They have to move
No,
all their
they
equipment,
need their
the
equipment.
mowers and everything. And
Right. So, okay. So tonight this discussion is to be continued, but if anybody thinks about it and would like to get involved, either one or two persons, specifically on traffic and transportation issues, I think it would be great, because it's definitely something that needs to be looked into. Okay, so in terms of special guests tonight, I was planning to have a special guest. Unfortunately, didn't have the time to organize it. But I've spoken to Chris Talbot, our beloved building inspector, to maybe come out our next meeting to make a presentation to let us know where he thinks there should be improvements. I've also spoken to Gary Goleski, Department of Public Works, to also do the same thing, come to the Planning Commission and express his concerns or his recommendations as to improvements that could be done within the village.
Gary's the one to talk to about the stop signs and moving them, because that falls under his
Yes,
purview.
yes. Gary does both public works and highway.
Because I know my husband takes exception with a few of the stop signs, especially when they're like 10 feet apart. And he brought it up to the mayor, who did take it to Gary. And actually, Gary did agree with him. Nothing happened, but Gary did agree that there were a few too many in some areas.
Too many stop signs.
Yeah, and you know, when they're 10, 20 feet apart, they don't really serve much of a purpose other than to slow down traffic. And mostly we need to get the traffic from one place to another rather than slow it down, because it's already slow enough in the village
Yes.
for the most part,
You know, this,
except for the occasional person that,
yeah, this traffic and transportation, definitely. Yeah, so we'll have Gary come, Gary Gillespie, and then, okay, on any other points to discuss?
One question I'd like to ask, what is the fine when somebody tears a historic building down?
With a permit or without a permit?
Well, without a permit, either way, they tear a building down, I think the last thing I knew was $800. I don't know if that still holds true.
To, the fines, yeah, the fines for demolishing a historic building.
Contractors.
Yes. I mean, I think that,
Exceptions.
we are not, the village is really not taking advantage of the fact that it is a CLG, that it does have the ability
on one side.
to enforce historic regulations. I think, well, the ARB does it a little bit better now,
That's a problem.
but I think there could be a lot more
Park on the
done.
side of the street of the house they're working on.
I was just curious to see if they've changed the ruling on that.
The violations to
Yeah,
demolish.
I knew at one time it was $800 to tear a historic building down.
Mhm.
And when they're selling a building for a couple of $1 million, what's $800? It's pocket change.
Right.
It's not enough to deter people, is
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Or either you demolish them or paint an American flag on them.
Yeah, we had, when I was on the Architecture Review Board, we approved a house up on Hill Street. And I drove by it, and it was a historic house, and I looked at it, and I said, this house has got aluminum windows. We didn't approve aluminum windows. I called another board member up, told them to look at it, and eventually the building inspector got involved, and it turns out not only did they have aluminum windows, they also had an additional addition on the back of the building that we didn't approve.
Okay, so in terms of also special guest, I would like to, we'll most likely invite somebody from the sewer committee, or the sewer task force, to be able to update us, give us an update on what's happening with, at that level.
There was a sewer task force?
Yeah, there's,
We
there
have
are,
one of
Who's
those.
on the sewer task force?
we have, well, Paul Travis, I think is heading that sewer task force, and we have,
And Rachel?
yeah, and Rachel, then we have Veradian, Richard, is it? No, is it? Yeah. So they are, they should report to us. They have hired DNB engineers to come up with the mapping plan. The problem is that there is no firm location yet for the sewage treatment plant.
We've
But,
only been talking about it for the last 15 years.
yes, you're right.
Yes.
You're right.
I thought we were talking about one time putting these smaller individual
Well,
places around.
yeah,
Right. That's going to be studied, and then they should come up with, they will come up with this, you know,
Yeah,
some
but last year I
recommendations.
heard that wasn't feasible because of new technology. We can pump it to a central station, so, you know.
Right.
Plus there's too
I mean-
much digging.
Yeah, if you're going to make this investment, you might as well go for the sewage treatment plant, and then treat the water to basically potable water standards. You know, to put us those small plants, those small package plants, it may not be the right solution long term. And they are really meant for specific development. If you do a condominium development, if you do a shopping center, if you do, this is what these are for, not for a municipal.
I'm curious, after they treat the water, what they do with the water.
The water gets reinjected.
Back into the ground.
Back into the ground.
Pumped into a lake.
You need a field, it's like the field that the water is supposed to.
But when you come out of a treatment plant, normally you get what's called the Speedies permit, which is, and then you re-inject it into the ground. And then it gets monitored, because it is potable water standard or close to it.
I think that's what the hospital does now with their plant.
No, the hospital, they go to a leaching field.
They leach, in other words, it goes back into the ground.
Goes right into the ground, it goes to a leaching
I was
field.
gonna say, that's what I thought, usually the leaching
Yeah.
field. But then the ground filters the
Yes.
water before it hits the water table. You don't wanna send them to the water table just the way it is.
It's just, I have a plumbing book
Like
that
it
says
is
that
now.
after it goes to the sewer treatment plant, it's 90-something% pure.
Yeah, well, it really is. It really
That's what
is.
textbook says.
I mean, we have also, there's also a clean water committee, or now they call it the environmental committee. And we have requests that they look into if there's any impact from the hospital sewage treatment plant to the Old Pond Lake. See whether they have
How many committees do we have?
So I'm not sure, that's a good question. I'll have the answer next time.
Okay, because it's like a lot of people who want to blame the fact that we don't have sewer systems on previous administrations say that it won't cost the village anything because there are all these grants that you can get. And is there somebody working on grants? I mean, I don't believe that it's not going to cost us anything.
Gotta wait till
But,
Biden passes a $1 trillion infrastructure thing.
And then we can, yeah, well,
Then there's
that's
probably gonna be
possible.
money there. Is everybody
That's
on that?
possible, but there hasn't been money. I mean,
So they have.
Julie was great at writing for grants.
But I think the biggest impediment was the location of the sewage
Now,
treatment.
before you ask for a grant, you have to have a plan.
You have to have a plan. Right. So we need to develop the plan so that we can get, and I think that we should look, open the discussion with the county to be able to possibly do a partnership with the county and develop a county plan, just like it is in West Hampton. West Hampton, the plant, the sewage treatment plant, is a county plant. And the village only brings the wastewater via pump stations to the county plant.
Oh, so
we
there's
don't
already
have-
one
we
in
don't have a
place.
plan.
There was a plant in place.
Well, in West Hampton, they had a plan in place, but we don't have one.
We
No,
don't
we
have
don't have one. But maybe we can work with the county for them to develop a local plant where we could then take the waste to that plant. And then only be responsible for the distribution system, for the collection system and the pump stations.
Would that be the same as taking it to the hospital, like we
Well,
were
the
talking
hospital-
about a couple of months ago?
Yeah, but the hospital plant is a very small plant.
Plus it's private.
The hospital's only using 1/3 of their plant, I know that.
But it's tied to the number of beds. The capacity of the plant that they have is tied to the number of beds. So unless they reduce the number of beds, they cannot reduce the capacity of their plant.
But if it's only being partially used,
But it's only partial.
Number of beds might.
and we're not putting a big sewer system.
Yeah,
but
but it's,
well, depends.
But then they're
It's not
planning
like
to move, I'm looking
gonna
at,
take the whole
what's the
village.
feasibility,
It's a private
would the health
facility.
department allow us to
You don't want
expand
to-
that plant?
It's got to be-
Modernize it, it's right there,
No,
you've got
but
Old
you don't know
Town
what
Pond
they're
right
gonna do
there,
there,
you
sell
could
them.
reinject the
That's
water. Old
true.
Town,
It may
or
end up-
you could have a.
It's
All kinds of
Yeah, you
things.
can't
You
go
don't have a
to
load.
private facility.
Pull
You're not
pull
controlling
the
it.
water out of Old Town Pond, purify it, shoot it back into the pond.
well, that's a discussion.
Yes, we've been
Discussion. I
discussing
don't
the
think
last
it's the right
15 years.
location for it.
I don't know, it's been
Well, I'm looking at it, there's a plant there
point
already,
on the
and it's in the
ramp-
village.
Yeah, but it's a very small
Found
plant.
out how many.
It's a very small plant and it's
But
not
at
very,
least- I mean,
it's in a
West
location in
Hampton,
the
at least we have an
village
idea
that's really not very
The money might not
desirable
be such a
in
big
terms of
object
the sewage,
anymore.
for sewage treatment plant.
Uh,
Is there is a discussion, Bob is bringing up the idea again of trying to work with the hospital for their sewage treatment plant. And it's not a good location for it. I mean, it
That's
is,
passe.
nobody would put a sewage treatment plant in, in the 16th arrondissement, or, in the best location in the village.
Where is a good location for the plant?
Well,
That's the problem.
the good location that was identified by a few years ago was the property between the cemetery and the Burger King, on the other side of County Road 39.
Well, the village owns property across the street from the Tuckahoe School. They own about 30 acres up there.
Yeah.
And they would be up there next to the golf courses. And there's 4 golf courses up there. In the summertime, they could supply them with all the water they need.
Right, well, that plant also is not that far. That location is right next to the cemetery, and it's comprised of 3 parcels. One parcel owned by the cemetery that was never used as a cemetery. There's a parcel that's owned by the fire district, and the Southampton Fire District is a very special district because it's a district that has no firehouses. Although it's a fire district, it has no firehouse. The 3 firehouses of the Southampton Fire District are operated and managed by the village.
You wouldn't have to worry about the neighbors.
Right, and then
That's
also.
very
Yes.
important. It's very
Very
important.
important.
Because that's a
And
huge
then-
problem
And then,
here.
there's a little bit of traffic coming in and out. They have to take out the sludge every so often, every few months. You have to take out the sludge, so that would be a very, very good location.
And where does that sludge get taken to?
Gets taken to Bergen Point. All of the sewage treatment plants in Long Island, they all take their plants to Bergen Point, and then from Bergen Point, it goes and then they make fertilizer out of it. It's taken to plants around Pennsylvania, and then they make fertilizer. But you have to take the sludge at a certain time. So that would be a very good location. And,
There was a meeting that somebody raised an objection to that location for some reason. I don't recall the objection. Do you recall? Or is that still on the table?
No, it's on the table. The only thing is that it's not within the village, but I think if that plant was to be developed by the county,
Yeah, it was something
then the-
about the ownership of the land or,
Is it the village or the town? Who owns that one?
it's
Of the
3,
town.
one parcel is owned by the fire district, which is, as I said, a district with no firehouses.
does that mean the town? When you say the
No,
fire
it's the
district?
fire district, it's an independent, they are a line on the tax bill, just like the school district, there's a fire
Yeah,
district.
okay, but it's.
But it's located in
It's
this town.
located in the
Yeah,
town,
it's
so the
located-
town owns it.
Yes, yes. Right.
That
And then
sounds
the-
like
No, but, and then the other side, the other parcel is owned by the cemetery, but was never used as a cemetery.
So the question is whether they want to sell it or resell it.
And the cemeteries can only sell land for public benefit purposes. And certainly to do a wastewater plant would be a public benefit. And then the third parcel, which may or may not be needed, is privately owned, which, could be the subject of, either of acquisition or,
There's
So-
one other question I want to bring up. Suffolk County Water Authority has a well field at the end of Prospect Street, West Prospect Street. And I just know that there's got to be so many feet between the sewage treatment plant and a well. That's one thing you have to look at.
yes,
If it's too close, they will not let you put the
That's
plant
correct.
there.
that's
That's
correct.
good.
But, yeah, that's
I'm
correct.
glad to hear that.
That's correct. But it also depends what are you going to do with the effluent. If you are able to develop a plant where you can either redistribute, like in California, every sewage treatment plant treats their water to what they call recyclable water levels.
Well, in California, I
And
think,
then they do a purple pipe in the street.
yes, they do that in Florida.
Oh, in Florida too?
Yeah, Florida, purple pipe for irrigation.
Exactly.
And in Florida, no, in California, I was at a seminar, and they had the gentleman talking from the, was Fort Pierce Water Authority, was telling me about San Diego uses high-pressure filter, 6,000-pound pressure filter. They run this thing through. In fact, there's a plant here up on North Highway, the one that does the laundry. They have a plant like that, and they recycle their water.
Yes, it's called membrane technology, where it's like science fiction technology.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable amount of pressure.
Yes.
And they run it through these filters, and it goes in absolutely filthy, comes out crystal clear.
Yeah, they're able to make holes in the membrane that are the sizes of like almost a water molecule. And just the water molecules are able to go through it. It's like science fiction. Okay. So I think if anybody else has any other points to discuss, we'll have our next meeting will be, we have the date of our next, what is the first Thursday of September? Anybody has a calendar?
I think it's the 9th. I don't think I'm gonna.
First Thursday of September is the 2nd.
Second?
September 2nd?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we'll schedule our next meeting for September 2nd at 5 o'clock. I will try to have a special guest at that time for that next meeting, maybe one or two special guests.
So our next real meeting is the 18th.
On the 18th, we'll have a meeting specifically geared to the update of the master plan, and we'll have that meeting together with the consultant BFJ. And if you have any, and again, I'd like to invite the public to let us know before to participate at this meeting on the 18th, or to send us emails or notices about any concerns or recommendations or suggestions that you may have that should be incorporated into the village master plan.
Will you get that on the website?
Yes, I'm going to try to, yes.
And even, does the paper work with us to put anything like that in? I don't know.
Yeah,
Because people, we've only got, it's a very short period of time.
Yes.
Today's the 5th to the 18th is only 13 days.
right.
And,
Yeah.
you know, it'd be nice if people just wrote in and
Yes,
sent suggestions, at least.
yes,
Would be a start of getting the public involved.
right. Well, I would like to conclude maybe with the discussion that we had earlier, that we would like to make the planning commission really a forum for the public to come and bring their suggestions, bring their issues, and bring their recommendations, and be sort of the forum for the public to review the proposed regulations from the Board of Trustees, to encourage people to participate in that process. I think we want to encourage everybody to voice their concerns, and we want to hear everybody's in the village. I think it's very important that this process gets followed, and we are here for that as the Planning Commission. You were mentioning that before. If you want to add something to that.
We've been traveling around. We have been to villages where they have suggestion boxes outside of like Village Hall or the fire department, you know, special places.
Yes.
And people drop things in. I mean, it's really hard to get people to listen to you, that you're having a meeting and you want them to come and what it's about, because it's hard to reach them. I mean, this meeting will be on the TV, but how many people
Watch it.
are going to watch it?
Sure.
And you don't know the thing I have a problem with is finding out what time of the day it is and what day it is. And, you know, and there's lots of other meetings
And
too.
what's on the agenda?
Yeah, and and why would they even think to come and watch us to begin with?
Right.
Right, well,
But,
And if they want to suggest anything, they go to the trustee meeting. That's where they bring things up.
but I think that the website, I think that with having the public outreach through the website will encourage this and will make it easier for people to be able to voice their opinion and, you know, say
Usually
their-
people
say
don't
their
get
concern.
involved in all these issues
Right.
unless it affects them directly.
That's
So if
true.
it doesn't affect them directly, they're not
They
gonna
don't.
go to the website, they're not gonna come to the
You're
meeting,
right.
they're not gonna do anything.
well, they don't want their face attached to it
If
either.
their life is going fine, then, you know, what's the issue?
You're right, but you're right, but I like to believe that there are also a lot of people who won't be part of the process, who would like to, who believe that, you know, there are ways to enhance and improve the village, and that, you know, we should manage the growth, and that we should, you know, make it more
I'm gonna
beautiful.
call you Saint Mark.
Yes.
Is there any way to join something like getting this information out to the new app on the phone?
That's true.
I understand that that's done fairly well.
Yes.
That they've had a number of, like 80, 90 things wrong that have been taken care of.
Yes, I think the app was
Yeah.
a
I think it's a
success.
great idea.
Yeah, was a big
You know,
success.
if people can, a lot of times people don't want their face attached to what they're complaining about. And doing it on the, you know, this is never out of anybody's hand.
Yeah, nobody goes on the computer anymore.
Yeah, I mean, this is what everybody lives by. It, you know, we
Yes.
need to talk to the mayor about,
Yes, that's true.
you know, adding on to the duties of that thing, or having a different one,
Yes.
a new one.
Okay, so on that note, I'd like to maybe make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
The second?
No,
Okay, and
no.
Yes. We'll see
You can
everybody
stay.
on the, we'll see everybody on the second.